we don't figure out how to allow those components to enhance the excellence that we bring to the table, that individual practitioner is going to be lost in this world. Now, I will tell you, ultimately, it's fear that people will see us as being less than in some way, shape, or form, or fear that our organization will be taken over by someone else who sees that we are, quote, weak because we're using some other tools in order to do the work that we do. We cannot be a viable organization if we don't leverage tools and resources. And it's okay for you to say, we're not excellent in X, Y, or Z.
I said, I'm sitting at the popular table. Like, I never thought that I would be sitting at the popular table, you know? All right, welcome back to the Human Capitalist Podcast. I am your host, Trent Cotton, the Human Capitalist, and I have one of my favorite people on the planet on the podcast today. I've gotten to spend 2 times with him. John, welcome to the show. I mean, I could sit here and gush over you for another 5 minutes, but thank you.
Why
for
are you making me emotional just as we get started? What are you doing?
I know. Us cancers, we get emotional very quickly. Although we get a bad rap for not really being emotional.
I mean, it's untrue. We are supremely emotional.
Yes, and your birthday is July 7th.
7th, yeah, yep.
Right, and that's the same as my husband, so it'll be easy for me to remember.
I mean, we're the same person, so I mean, it's super easy to remember, basically.
I am so going to tell him that when we get through. Oh, he'll love that. Yeah, I was telling him about some of the conversations we had, and he goes, "Who is this guy?" That's like, "Oh, he's John.
Please,
John.
I'm no threat. Tell him, don't worry. I'm an old man. I'm no threat."
I love it. Well, tell everyone about your very interesting background. What's your story?
Oh, my goodness. So, John Baldino, longtime HR practitioner. Gosh, it's just about 35 years. And it's something, right, to be able to say that. So the privilege I've had is to start in personnel, right, and work forward in my career all these years, decades. And so now I get to sit in a great spot where I'm leading an organization called Humoriso, which is an HR consulting firm, both on the service side of things and from the tech side of things as well. So to be able to straddle both and have an awesome bunch of people that work at Humoriso, run the race with me. It's kind of a privilege to kind of be where I'm at in my career at this point.
Yes, and then you also do the what is it? First, there's coffee on Thursday.
But first coffee on Thursdays, 10 a.m. Eastern time with the fabulous Jackie Clayton.
I laughed so much every time she came around. She is so, and she doesn't mean to be. Like, she is just who she is,
That is correct, yes.
And it's funny, Nikki and I were talking to someone, and I think Nikki mentioned Jackie, and Jackie just happened to be walking by. She goes, "I heard my name. Who should I introduce myself to?" I mean, she is just
she is on. Like, you know what I mean?
All the time.
On.
All the time.
And when she's not
but
on,
authentic,
though, that's
but she's
totally,
authentic.
Totally. Yeah. But it's great because you can, when you're, especially with the webcast that we do, right? The two of us, we're very like hearts on our sleeves. Like there's no pretense. You kind of just see the good, the bad, the ugly with us as we work through things. And so it makes it really fun when we're like at conferences or, in the public doing our show live for whatever reason. And people are like, "Gosh, I feel like I know you. Like I just watch you every week and feel it." And it's such a nice feeling because you don't have to worry about which person am I supposed to be for this conversation. It's just, this is who I am. So it's really nice.
And it was funny, one of the times that she was talking, I think we were in the expo, and she showed me, because you sent her a text, "Where are you?" She goes, "Why does he keep asking me this?" I said, "Probably because you have stopped 10 times from the door talking to people."
Correct. And then she will say, "And now I'm lost." She's
No, I'm
standing
lost.
somewhere in the expo hall and she's like, I'm by such and such a booth. Where are you? Send me your location. That's what she'll tell me to do. Send me your location.
I
I'm
love her.
15 feet from you. What you talking about? Send your location. Turn around.
Oh my God. Yeah. So if anybody wants to know what goes on at Transform, this is just some of the stuff that goes on. For all the people that you see, doing podcasts, live casts and everything on LinkedIn, and you think we have our shit together,
Oh, no,
this is just no, not at all.
no,
Not at
no.
all.
I'm like literally sending her text messages. Look to the left as I'm trying to walk to her. Look left. And she continues to turn right. I'm like, I make the L. Come on. You got to get it together so you know which way's
I
left and which
swear.
way's right. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
her though. I love her. And it was really interesting though. There was just because I think I posted on LinkedIn, there was me and you and Rocky who just speak about someone who's always on and
Mm,
incredibly authentic, and Lars and Charney and Nikki.
yeah.
And it was just kind of interesting. And I sent something to my husband. I said, I'm sitting at the popular table. Like I never
Well,
thought that I would be sitting at the popular table. So it was kind of surreal at the moment. Then of course, the legend Torian takes the stage,
mm,
and it was a great event. And of course, I got to spend time with fantastic people like you, which always makes it even better. But one of the things that kept coming up was just a hot topic in the sessions, out of the sessions, in the expo hall, was what is going to happen with HR in the next 1 to 5 years. I
mm.
don't feel comfortable even going 2 years out, but let's pick your brain. What do you see happening in HR over the next 1 year?
Well, I mean, obviously, one of the other things that I know you saw in the expo hall was the obsessive use of AI. I mean, obsessive. And for those that are just listening on audio, Trent just rolled his eyes. I just want to make sure that I point that out because no, you need to do it, right? Like it's it is probably though, if I answer your question about a year from now, if there isn't a way for human resources practitioners to embrace AI in a way that it cultivates the exceptional work that we're to do, then we're going to be way behind.
Mm,
It is not, I don't mean it's not replacing all the work that we do. I know that there will be some repetitive tasks that can be handled right from an
right.
AI perspective. But if we don't figure out how to allow those components to enhance the excellence that we bring to the table, that individual practitioner is going to be lost in this world. And that's not a threat. And especially for those of you that don't know me, I promise you I don't speak in threatening ways. That's not a threat. It really is just a matter of you know looking at the tea leaves, figuratively
Right.
speaking, right? Like this is what's here. I can't even say that it's coming. It's here. And a
Hmm.
lot of what I think the next 6 to 12 months about um, is regarding adoption. How does it
Right.
show up where you are, and how comfortable are you with it? Um,
Mm.
and what are you doing to make sure that you stay ahead of the curve when it comes to all the things that are changing so rapidly? So, from a practitioner standpoint, I think we've got to really double down on our willingness to embrace and use it in a healthy, supportive way.
Right. How are you? Because you have your own practice. I mean, how are you
Yeah.
approaching this topic of integrating with AI?
It's funny because so from a consultative standpoint, we run the gamut with businesses that are, gimme, gimme, gimme. I want all the
Hmm.
latest and greatest. Help us find them. If Humoriso doesn't have them, which we don't have all of them, help
Right.
us select what the right partners are. Gimme, gimme, gimme. All
Hmm.
the way to the other end, which is no, we are not allowed to have any AI integration or practice with what we do in our industry or in our business. Keep all of excuse me, keep all of the AI away from us. And my
Right.
response on that end of the spectrum is, well, what are you using for your like Word creation. Is it Word? Is it Google Sheets? Like, what are you using? And they're like, oh no, we're a Microsoft Office, organization. And my response is, honey, you already have AI happening. I don't know
Right.
what, like, if you start to
Yeah.
type words and it looks to finish your sentence for you, that's not some like freakazoid thing. Like, that's AI happening. I don't, so you
Right.
already have it happening. It's really a matter of, now from a consultative standpoint, what we try to encourage organizations to do is A, what's your appetite for it?
Hmm.
And B, how much in regards to your brand and values, do you want it to be something that is representative of your organization?
Okay. Well,
And
can you
yeah,
unpack that just a little
yeah,
bit? What do you
yeah.
what do you mean by representative?
So I think that there is this, as you and I both through the years have seen organizations that have been hesitant to say out loud things that they are doing inside.
Right.
And so, right, so whether it was, recent machine learning, whether it be the use of certain types of software,
Hmm.
even some of the modularization of things in packages of HRIS that are being used, we operate in closets, right? So
Right.
often with like, I don't want people to know. We don't want everybody to,
Hmm.
well, why? What is it about this that makes you so hesitant? And I will tell you ultimately, if I'm allowed, which I am, since I own Human Reso, to sift it down, it's honestly fear. It's fear that people will see us as being less than in some way,
Hmm.
shape, or form, or fear that our organization will be taken over by someone else who sees that we are, quote, weak because we're using some other tools in order to do the work that we do. I think that is very, very short sighted. And I need everyone who's listening, if you're in that kind of environment right now, deep breath. It's okay. It's
Hmm.
okay. We cannot be a viable organization if we don't leverage tools and resources. And it's okay for you to say, we're not excellent in X, Y, or Z. We're good at it, but we're not excellent. And in order for us to get from good to excellent, we've partnered with a particular tool. We've adopted a certain, in this instance, AI agent that helps us
Hmm.
to sort of handle some first tier things. And so my brand can now handle the fact that it's not just about being futuristic as if we're some Jetsons cartoon, but we're really being thoughtful around the talent pool and the consumer pool we're trying to get to, both internal and external. Human resources has to stop thinking only internal when it comes to talent. We're a part of the consumer mechanism as well because we're
Right.
bringing people into the workplace. These people are consumers as well. What are you talking about? Of course, our messaging has to make sense to them, which
Right.
therefore will mean that it makes sense to a consumer. So brag on the things that we need to. Hey, we've adopted AI, and here's the ways in which we're using it. We're not hiding anything. There's no one behind the curtain. We're using it to screen your resumes. We're using it to help us with first tier interviews. We're
Mm.
using it to help collate performance data over a 6 month time period that influences your appraisal. Whatever the pieces are, just own it. I think
Mhm.
people will appreciate the transparency. This way, if they don't like it, Trent, they can self-select out of participating with you
Yep.
then, right?
Yep. Yeah. And it's funny you brought that up because I heard the head of TA at Greenhouse. They actually have part of their process is going in and like once you apply, you get this email that says, of course, thank you, blah, 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 blah. But then they get another one that says, here's how we leverage AI in the process.
Mm,
And it's on the front end. And I liked that. I was thinking, okay, I want to take that back to my practices. It was my idea. But I mean, it was definitely one of the, not that I ever do that, but I do think that there needs to be, not me, but I
not
do think
you.
though that there needs to be that clarity piece of it, and
Yes.
I saw a survey because I'm doing a presentation at RL100 on the future of talent.
Woohoo.
And one of the
Yes.
things that I pulled out was 81% of candidates say that they're okay with AI in the process
I
from
I mean,
45% in 2023, you know?
because the candidate is a consumer who has gotten used to the way in which AI
Yeah.
has already happened over the last 12 months in their normal practice of existence. I mean, obviously, you want to shop on Amazon, look at what happens. You want to go on and
Oh
use a
gosh, yes.
particular, you know what I mean? Like productivity tool, your Excel,
Hmm.
you're seeing how it's helping lead you with that. Do you want to do this in this next column? Like it's thinking for you. So
Yeah.
we've adapted to it, honestly, quite quickly.
It's really interesting. I know, you know me, I love data, but it took, I think, 7 or 8 years between for Facebook and for Instagram to hit 1 billion users. ChatGPT hit
Yes.
400 or 500 million in 90 days. Like,
Yeah.
it is statistically mind blowing to
Yeah.
see. And you know, I don't know, man. Like some of the HR tech, I would be looking at Amazon. What's that experience like? Because that's what my candidates and that's what my employees are going to expect. How do I model it after that? You know, as a
Yes.
hiring manager, as a manager of a team, wouldn't it be cool to kind of go in, you know, like on Amazon, I just bought something and I go and read the reviews, but I love the summary at the top. Here's
Yeah.
good, here's the bad, here's the middle. Okay, cool. You know, imagine being a manager about to take over a new team and you're trying to understand, well, where does everybody kind of sit, to be able to have that kind of overview. To me, it's just such low hanging fruit.
Well, and I will give you, I'm going to pick on the Amazon example if I can for a second, because
All
we
right.
are, as individuals, consumer driven
Mm-hmm.
in that I want what I want when I want it. And we're that way because we're humans and we're selfish by nature. But on top of it, we've had experiences
Yeah.
um, that amplify that. So Amazon, I'm part of Prime. If I want my stuff the next day, I can get my stuff next day. I can actually even get it same day, depending on when I order
Yeah.
it, right? I want to the to the point, right? So the immediacy is what I'm focused on there, right? We just are an immediate satisfaction, gratification kind of people. That's what we lean towards, and Amazon has marketed to that and done it very successfully.
Mm.
And so
Making a lot of
candidates,
money doing it. Well, also,
correct.
right.
And
Yeah.
candidates want the same experience now when they're applying for a job. They want the same experience with anything that they're engaged
Mm-hmm.
with, right? As people. Here's where we've gotten to now. If for those of you who haven't noticed, if you choose your carbon footprint delivery day instead with Amazon, right? If you choose, even though you're a Prime member and all this good stuff, you could get it same day, next day, but you choose to wait until the third day and it's part of your carbon footprint, whatever. They actually also entice you by giving you digital rewards for
Mm-hmm.
towards like renting a movie or buying, whatever it might be. And they have to put a reward connected to this because it's behavior that they need to incentivize in some way because everybody wants next day.
Yes.
Everybody wants next day. So now, even though that was 10 years ago, the way that I was getting you to sign up for Amazon and to be a part of Prime and pay your annual dues and all that good stuff, it's causing so much logistical wear and tear on our last mile delivery locations
Mm-hmm.
that now we're trying to incentivize you the opposite
Opposite.
way, right?
Yeah.
It's
Never thought about
fascinating.
that.
It's
Yeah, I never thought about
fascinating
that.
to watch the difference now,
Mm-hmm.
right? Our behavior, and by the way, I tried to find that I can't find statistics yet on what's the success rate on trying to incentivize that delayed delivery by a day,
Mm-hmm.
by giving you digital credits. How successful has that been? I can't find anything. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but I wonder if there's even enough participation in it. I will tell you at this point, I do it almost every time, try to do the digital footprint one,
Good for
because
you.
I'm getting those credits and I'm so cheap that if my wife wants to rent a movie, I'm always like, well, wait a minute, let me see what my digital credits are on Prime before we do anything. Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
not that one, are you?
Oh, I am
Oh,
that one.
John, come
I
on,
am
man.
that one. And she is
Oh
like,
my gosh.
you're the worst. I'm like, that's $4.99. Are you kidding me? We're
Mhm.
not watching that movie.
Yeah, and it's so funny though because there's like such a different concept of money. Like I will spend money to save time. I won't just
Hmm.
spend money just for the sake of money. But you know, if
Yeah.
it comes down, I think forgot who we were talking to, but we were talking about video editing and things. And sometimes I look at something, I go, I know somebody can do this better, and it would take me 3 hours to do the same quality this other person that I pay $70 for. That's worth my time.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Outsource
they
it.
do it in 5 minutes. I don't care if you do it
Oh
in
yeah,
5 minutes. Great.
uh, yeah.
Thank you.
Do
Right.
it. Good for you. That's a hell of a
Yes.
model.
Yes.
Just,
Yes.
well, what has been? I mean, you do have quite the career. So, what has been a people problem that you had to solve that changed your outlook or your mindset on a topic or a process or something in HR?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I am I'm a sensitive soul.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say though early on in my career, emotion ruled more than I probably would like to admit.
Yeah.
And my self-esteem as a kid was half in the tank most days,
Mm-hmm.
which probably isn't unusual, right, for people listening.
Yeah.
Um, but for sure I was always too much or too little. I never really lined up with the age that I was or the grade that I was with what I should be experiencing, right? I
Right.
was too tall for kindergarten. I was, too uncoordinated for basketball, even though I'm 6'3". Like all of these things, like
Right.
just I was always off, right? And so I think I fought back through emotion. And so
Mm,
I remember being probably too hard on somebody early in my career in HR and found out afterwards that they just were going through some stuff at home.
mm.
And I never asked the question.
Wow.
Um, and when it got back to me what they were going through, um, and I asked them, well, why didn't you tell me? And their response was, I didn't feel like I could because you were on me.
Ooh,
And
right to the heart.
and it was dead on.
Wow.
It was
Yeah.
dead on. And I remember just like going off like for a few minutes by myself in the building and just breaking down
Mm,
because I thought, who have I become that
mm-hmm.
I pride myself so much on this relational component and how much I care about people. Um, and here I am not caring about people in the way in which
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to approach issues. I was tough.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, it's interesting. I was counseling a leader. They've been doing it for about 2 or 3 years. And we were talking about a corrective action thing.
Mm.
And they were just like, I know I should be comfortable with this, but I'm still just not comfortable with it. And I told him, I said, the day that you become okay with this is the day that I want to talk to you about not being a leader. Because you know, owning it and facilitating it, because you have a fiduciary responsibility to the organization and an ethical responsibility to the person who has entrusted you with their career to provide them feedback, good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah,
That's one thing. That's kind of the rational part. I said, but if you're not just kind of unsettled by it, then you really need to kind of check yourself.
yeah. It's hard because I think that in human resources, we've allowed our work to define who we are, and
Mm,
there are moments of the work that are transactional,
yeah,
and of course, and if transaction becomes how we define ourselves, then we treat people transactionally. We're going,
yeah,
even if you don't mean to, unchecked, that's what will happen because your transactional duties and responsibilities become, for most of the leadership that you report to, the only way that they know how to point to the fact that you're doing a good job or not.
mm,
That becomes the primary metric that they can use, right? How could they not? They have a hard
right,
time saying, because of you, here's why our engagement is at this level. They have a hard time pointing to you for that, even though you're killing yourself to try to
yeah,
make sure that people know how they fit, how they belong, how they expand, how they, whatever to the community and the culture. It's hard to measure that. It's easier for me to say, hey, thank you so much for the 14 write-ups that you helped this last quarter and the management conversations you had so that we could rebuke or correct certain staff. That becomes easier to look at. I feel like I'm justifying my time. Well, the more that leadership does that to us as HR practitioners, we curb our behavior to match that level of expectation. And it's why you
Mhm.
can lose your heart in this matter. It's why some HR people wind up behind closed doors for years in the work
Yeah.
that they do. They don't engage with people at that level anymore. My admonition would be pay attention. Pay attention to what mile markers you're really running towards, and are they
Yeah.
the right mile markers?
And you know, you actually talked about this on one of your recent episodes. You and Jackie unpacked it a little bit. It was a very interesting take on it. You said that there is an importance in creating a culture of care, both
Mm,
personally and professionally, and balancing that with keeping the human in HR. And I think that's always been tough. I mean, that kind of gets back to
hmm
what you were speaking, is that we get very transactional. I kind of find that with AI coming in, that's now going, it's not necessarily transactional. It's like, well, AI can handle that. And there are certain things that the human should. So can you kind of unpack that, balancing the culture of care with doing the tactical stuff that you need to?
Yeah, it's um, it's a very difficult skill set to master. I'll say on both sides of that.
Hmm.
um, if I don't have an opportunity to let you know that you are not lost in the work that has to be done, that I can distinguish between the you and the work,
Hmm.
then I would say my opportunity to develop you in the part that I'm allowed to, meaning you have a manager, you may have a director, there's other people involved, but in my role as
Hmm.
HR, if you don't recognize that there's a delineation between the two,
Hmm.
because you get lost in the muckety muck of existence, right? Then I'm doing you a disservice in your development. Um,
Right.
we talked about presenteeism years ago, quiet quitting, right? More recently, kind of all the same thing. It is why we have people who just continue to show up each day but aren't really there, because
Yeah.
we've removed their soul from it. It's part of it is our fault. I'm not saying it all
Hmm.
is, but part of it is our fault. I need to be able to sit with Trent to say, listen, let's talk for a few minutes about the practical work that is being done and where you are with it and how comfortable you are with it, what resources you may need, what you
Hmm.
believe will help you get your work done better, more efficiently. I need to have all those conversations with you. And then I need to turn to you and say, and as a result of being in this organization, how do you think it's affected the way in which you develop rapport with another person?
Yep.
How do you think it's helped you be more critically thoughtful about connecting dots? How do you
Hmm.
think it has enabled you to pursue areas of education that you'll take with you for the rest of your life, regardless of being employed by this particular organization? When I can start to earn the right to have some of those conversations with people, I will tell you, it actually tethers people tighter to the organization. It's the opposite of what you would think from a knee jerk standpoint, because that individual realizes this place is thoughtful about me as a whole, and because of
Yeah.
that, I'm positively adding to the culture as a
Hmm.
whole, which draws other people to the organization, which I'm ready to jump on to talk about, brand marketing with you, because I love it here, not just because they're
Yeah.
paying me to say it, but because I love it
Right.
here. That is a responsibility every HR practitioner has. I don't care if your only responsibility is onboarding and you just handle the paperwork. And I don't care if you're the CHRO that couldn't tell anyone what the benefits package is if you had a gun to your head. I don't care which end of the spectrum you're on in your organization. We
Right.
can all do that. We can
Hmm.
all do that. And we have lost that because of getting so bogged down with the distractions. Yes, compliance in Hawaii is difficult and you're expanding there. I get
Right.
it. I understand that payroll issues because we're changing software. I know I'm not trying to poo-poo the tactical pieces, but if 98% of your week is tactical, your soul is not being fed as well in the profession that you've
Agreed.
chosen, right?
Totally. And, as you're kind of talking through this, and, AI is still kind of top of mind, there's this
Hmm.
one HR partner that worked for me, and I kept her. She wasn't good at process. Um, and I couldn't really falter because I'm not either. I usually am good at a process because I want to change it. So I'm like getting in there to figure out what can I change and automate and everything. Um, but there was something that I kept her on, and she had this sixth sense.
Mm.
And at first, I thought she was just a little paranoid, or maybe she was reading too much into things. But she had such a finger on the pulse of the three departments that she was the HRBP for. I remember one time in a one-on-one, she says, "Trent, something's going on here. I can't put my finger on it. This person's acting weird and this person's acting weird. They're not in the same department within the department, but something is going on." I said,
Mm.
"Well, go and sniff it out." And sure enough, it turned into an investigation. We found out what was going on.
Oh my.
But normal, like if I was just doing the tactical, it would have been years before any of that stuff was caught. But she had such a pulse. And I remember asking her, I was like, "So why is such and such acting weird? Like, define weird." "They're not making eye contact." I said, "Well, that's not necessarily, no, they always talk to me every morning. I know about their
Mm.
kids. I know what time the bus stop comes. I know this, I know that." She goes, "And now whenever I talk to her, she looks to her right," which psychologically
Yeah.
means, I was like, time, you're reading way too much into this. It's like she was going, like all Criminal Minds and stuff on me. But I learned so much from her because, I mean, I grew up in a very tumultuous house. So I had to learn how to read a room,
Right.
and I never thought about applying that to my HR practice. And
But I love that in that
me
you
too.
can identify that. I just like the fact that you grew up in a tumultuous home, I don't love. Right?
Right.
If I could wish something different for you, I would wish that.
Mm,
But you are where you are through the experiences you've had to
mhm.
be the man you are today. And so when you come into the organization being that man you are today, then I, as an HR practitioner, should be thoughtful about knowing you are more than just the role that I've hired you for.
Yep.
And I want to speak to you as the full package, so to speak, that
Hmm.
you are. And by doing so, helping you to understand how to A, assimilate at the onset to the work that you're being asked to perform and how you're being asked to perform it, but B, how to accentuate the work that
Right.
you're being asked to perform because of the full package that you are bringing to the organization. It is both
Mhm.
of those.
It really
And
is.
in human resources, we have the unique opportunity to be able to do that. We ought to wake up inspired, truly
Mhm.
inspired each day because of the opportunities we have to do that. If that inspiration hasn't happened for a long time, my encouragement always is for folks to go back to the joy of it. That's where the joy is found. If you can't do it at the company you're in, you gotta you gotta take the shot. You
Hmm.
got to take the shot. But I have to tell you, very rarely have I ever had an organization say to me, "John, stop it. You're being too thoughtful of our people." I mean,
Yeah.
genuinely. I had one person one time who, it was only one out of like four, from a senior leadership standpoint, who told me I cared about people too much. And I was like, okay, guilty.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm not going to say I'm sorry, right? Like,
Right.
I'm guilty as charged. Now what?
Hmm. Yeah.
Now what? And by the way, let me call your wife, who would ask for an ounce of the care that I have for people that you would go home and give to her. That conversation did not go well. I just will let you know, but I had it.
And this is why you and I could never work in the same organization. There would be carnage.
Everywhere, everywhere.
Because that's your thing, and my thing is, who hurt you? Like, let's
Right.
unpack that trauma. Let's really
I,
get into that.
I mean, I'm the one who's like, let's have your oldest come in and tell me what kind of father you
Right.
are so that we can understand what kind of leader you're trying to be here. Right. It's
Yeah.
hard. And I'm not, please, right.
Mm.
Don't try this at home. What are the,
Yeah. Please
what are the
don't. Please don't.
disclaimers we're supposed to
Yeah.
have?
Yeah.
But the
Do not
do
follow in
not
our
do that,
footsteps,
right?
buddy.
Do not. It took a lot of relational investment to get to a place. But I will
Yes.
tell you, genuinely, and coming back to the centrality of the point, it is both how that person is going to acclimate and then how that person can accentuate. Our job is to not lose the accentuation. Those individuals need to know that what they bring to the table matters and will affect change and affect success in a company, not just dotting I's and crossing T's, though that's important. It's about moving from print to cursive. It's about moving
Mm,
from cursive to paragraphs to novels to whatever it's going
mhm.
to ultimately get to, and leaving space to do that.
And it's funny because the next thing I wanted to talk to you about was there is a lot of unease, and I read something today. It was talking about the Great Stay that
Mm,
there's a lot going on in the economy, there's a lot going on in politics, and there's a lot going on in the workforce, and so people are just staying. I think you said
yeah,
they're just kind of staying with no soul. I think a lot of people are staying because they don't really feel like they have an option. But
yeah,
you are a huge proponent of talent development being the cornerstone of HR. Can you unpack that a little bit?
yeah. First, I've said this, and I know what the economy's like. I don't live
Hmm.
in hearts and rainbows. I get it. But I would say, as much as you can, go where you grow.
Yep.
Go where you grow.
And
And if you're
sometimes you
not,
got to take a step back
yes,
to get your
yes,
piece before
yes.
going on and taking. I think so many people go, I'm miserable here, but here's a role over here. I can go and I do this, but you've got to heal from that mess that you're in,
And
and they don't take the time.
the dollar will come to you. I
Yes.
gotta just say this. The dollar will come to you. When I left the organization where I last was an employee in order to open Humoriso, I gave my 30-day notice, and then I went home and told my spouse that I gave my 30-day notice. Again, I don't recommend doing all of these things that I do in my
Yeah.
life.
That's
But
very
I
uncharacteristic of you.
knew that she was with me right in this. It was
Oh,
the
okay.
time, right? I knew ultimately that she'd be, and she was nervous, but she was like, I'm with you. And I said, we have 6 months in the bank if it doesn't work out. And if it doesn't, then I'm going to go pour coffee at Wawa, for those of you that know what Wawa is. And I just said, that's what I'll do. I'm not proud in
Hmm.
that regard, because my ultimate responsibilities were to this woman that I'm partnering in life with, the three
Hmm.
children that we have together, and the responsibilities that I've signed off on, my mortgage and things like that.
Right.
I don't care if I have to pour coffee in Wawa and someone walks in and sees me doing that. So what?
Right.
So what? So for those who are worried so much about the dollar, I'm not ignorant of it. I get it. But to your point, Trent, about taking a step back, so I'm making it up, $150,000 job, and I'm going to take a step back to $110,000 job because I just got to get into a different organization. I want to reset my joy, all of those things, because your person still matters. I'm going to tell you something. You're going to figure out that 40. That
Hmm.
40,000. It's going to figure out. You're going to cut back on things. You aren't going to eat out as much. You're going to cut your Netflix subscription. You're going to just do what you need to do in order for your joy to come back to you.
Yep.
That's how relentless you have to be about it, right? Because if
Hmm.
you're a victim of the 150,000, then you become in bondage to that. And that will not help your soul find joy.
Absolutely.
It won't. So when I talk about a talent community, I think amongst each other, it again is not based on hearts and rainbows, but it is based upon the opportunity for emotional health to also play into the fact that you have a fiscal responsibility. Both
Right.
can exist. Both can exist and can coexist. I've never met anybody who didn't start making more money, who didn't figure out a way to have expenses rise to meet the more money that they were making, right?
And yeah, if they do, I want to talk to them.
I mean, there's always, it just keeps creeping. And
Yeah.
tell the story about when I first started. I had had a 1980 Chevy Chevette, and the underside behind the gas pedal and the brake pedal under there, it had rusted through. I could see the street. I would put the car mat back so I couldn't see the street, so I didn't get soaked when it was raining. and
Oh my
and
gosh.
I mean, and that's where I was going, driving to my job in personnel, because I just wasn't
Mhm.
making very much and I couldn't do all. Now Bougie Baldino wants like the car that does this for me and the car that does this. Listen, Bougie Baldino may have to recalibrate if something were to happen with
Oh,
the finances, right?
and
That's just
just so
going to have
you
to be
know,
how it is.
your contact in my phone will now be Bougie Baldino. There is no going back. I cannot wait to be able to say, Siri, call Bougie Baldino. I
But
love it.
that's learned behavior and it can be
Yeah.
unlearned as well. It can be
Hmm.
unlearned. And we have to remember from a talent standpoint that the expectation that people may have coming in, let them share what their expectation is. And then I get to turn in response to say, thank you.
Hmm.
Truly, thank you for sharing. Here's where I could tell you we can meet you in. Here are the things
Hmm.
that this organization can do, and here are the things that it can't do. And I want you to have all the facts in front of you as transparently as possible so that you can make a determination as to what level of commitment would make sense for you to continue on in this process of seeking the next right person for this role. Or if you're already in the organization, here's what this promotion is going to mean. Here's the expectations. Does it align with what you want your
Right.
next phase of life to be like? It's okay if the answer is no. It's okay. I just need
Hmm.
you to be able to commit to what level of experience you can get behind.
It's funny. I had taken some time off, did some consulting, and this was right around 2008, 2010. And so the market was constricting, and
Hmm.
I decided to go back into the workforce. And I remember the guy that hired me for the role, he said, look, I know because we worked together at a previous organization, he goes, I know you were an SVP there. All I can give you is an AVP, and all I can pay is this. I said, okay. And there was something. Oh, he goes, and you're just an individual contributor. I said, one, being an
Just
IC would actually be welcome. I don't have to clean anybody else's messes but my own. And anyone that's ever
right.
worked with me knows that I have big ones. Like whenever
Yep.
I do it really nice and complicated. I said, and number two, I don't care what my title says. I care what my check says. And as long as that check clears that bank, I'm okay.
Right.
And for probably 2 or 3 years, I was okay not being a leader. I was okay not being the front and center. I was okay with just taking care of my clients and my
Yeah.
candidates at that point. Um, and but I had reached a different point, like coming right out before, deciding to do my consulting thing. I was a little biggity, as they said, I was like, I'm not accepting less than this, and I'm not going to do less than that.
Yeah.
It was a different point. So I do
Yeah.
think that there's a certain level of peace that you have to go, you know what? Yes, I'm making 12, 15, $20,000 more here, but how much of my life am I losing as a
Right.
result of that, right?
Right. Right.
It's
And it
tough.
is listen, it is a balance. I know there's expenses. I'm not
Absolutely.
again, I'm not trying to say go into debt or file bankruptcy because of it, but I also will say there's plenty of people who have filed bankruptcy that are doing quite well today, right?
Hmm.
If that's the, and I'm using an extreme, if that's the extreme, you'll still survive the extreme. So
Yeah.
anything less than that extreme, I'm going to say the odds are in your favor. It's
Yeah.
going to, I know it may not feel like it today, then you need to rally some people around you that believe in you that way, that can stand with you and say, I know it doesn't feel great at the moment. We're going to get through this together.
Hmm. Yep. And there's all of this talk about AI that's going to change the HR function. And I was reading something in the Wall Street Journal, and it basically said that it polled business owners and CEOs, and most of them are looking at three different areas for AI for immediate efficiency, cost
Hmm.
saves, whatever you
Hmm.
want to adjective you want to describe. It was operational units, finance, and HR, because in their mind, that's where all the bloat is. And if they can cut some of that bloat and replace it with AI, it's going to be a win win. So, what advice do you have, kind of keeping that in the back of your head? I don't think that's 100% true. I don't think
I don't
that's
either, but yeah.
the major intent. But you and I both know people that are out there doom and gloom,
Oh,
and there's not a lot of positive side. Like I see this as being a positive. So, what advice do you give CHROs or business leaders or practitioners on having those hard conversations now while trying to balance with keeping optimistic because there is some good stuff in there. Like I'm excited about AI and HR.
There, I am too. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I would say a couple of things. One, don't lead with replacement.
Mm-hmm.
Don't lead with replacement. If your approach to AI is purely, I'm going to be able to get rid of 1.5 FTEs, ooh, ooh,
Yeah.
right? That's like saying, I'm going to marry this new person because she's nothing like the old one. I don't know that that's the right premise. It doesn't
Yeah.
sound like it's the right setup for success
Yeah. And being three divorces in, I would strongly urge to set your goals higher.
there. Like, but like, how does it make that the new spouse feel when you're like, really? It's just because I'm different than the other one. That's the only reason you're
Mm,
married. Like, so if you approach AI as like it's going to save me money, it's a reactive response as opposed to saying, how will AI to start with? How will AI in these areas, whether finance, operational units, HR, how will AI help us advance in what
mm-hmm.
it is that we're doing? Expand in what it is that we're doing. Be proactive in your view there. Growth oriented stance in how you look at AI.
I
That's
like
number
that.
one. Number two, if it is going to be something where you've got a reduction in force that needs to happen because financially the top line revenue may be down, perhaps your cost of resources has gone up quite a bit because of tariffs or whatever it is that you might be dealing with, and I understand
Mm-hmm.
that, then address that separately from adopting anything else.
Mm,
Keep them segregated. It has to be. Address the financial issues of the organization. Do your reduction in force if that is what needs to happen in order for you to balance the books in a certain way. I get it. Then you'll be free to kind of look at the way in which any tool, AI being a tool, but any tool will help the organization to either rebuild or maintain its marketplace reputation and contribution. When you have AI as one of those tools, it actually allows for AI adoption within an organization to be done less, um, I'll say more favorably, right? Because if AI is not seen as competitive to a person and the job that took, it's only going to be able to be received more favorably because it's helping to handle certain things. The last thing I'll
mm-hmm.
say about AI when it in the um, stat that you shared there in those three areas is if you have a leadership that is um, headline influenced, the latest and greatest. What's the headline of today? I read that the AI is going to help with operation finance and HR. Did you read beyond the headline?
Right.
Did you actually read past the first paragraph?
Mm,
Did you read the whole article? And that's where I would say, as the HR practitioner, if I'm involved in those senior leadership meetings, which I hope you are, if you're involved in those senior leadership meetings, I I'm bringing that info to them. Don't wait for them to bring. If I know that my CEO is just, titillated by these
mm-hmm.
headlines, read it and read the whole thing, and then come to the meeting saying, "Guess what I read? I read that." And your CEO is going to say, "Oh my gosh, I was going to bring that up. I read that too. It's awesome."
Right.
It is awesome. And let me give you the whole story. I'm
Yeah.
ready to discuss the whole story. Then AI is seen in the right context for your organization because USA Today and the Washington Post and the New York Times, they don't know your organization.
Mm-hmm.
You have the privilege of reading all that info and all the research that's out there and digesting and then going through it with your organization personally. That's the
Mm-hmm.
way to do it.
And oh, by the way, you can actually take that article and put in what you know about the company and leverage AI to help you articulate some
A-
ways that you
And that
what
part.
works and what doesn't, you know? Right. And that part.
Yes, and that
Yeah.
part.
Yeah. There are so many just title chasers, like AI is going to do this, AI is going to do that, and we should be doing this, and here's a new technology. If you continue to chase every new technology that comes out, you're going to be exhausted in the next year.
Absolutely. And we also have to, and you've been with me enough to know that I'm always trying to find other analogies, right, to help give people a
Hmm.
clearer perspective. If you are so willing, right, to throw everything that you know about the future of your organization into a bot and say, oh, bot, tell me what we should do next. I'm going to take everything that you're spitting out as gospel truth of what I'm supposed to do moving forward. Um, then we know that that sounds foolish. It would be the same as saying, okay, if you can align yourself to that, I got you. I'm also now going to tell you that we're bringing back parental chosen spouses, right, for children. That's how we're going to do this because I'm going to trust that someone else knows who the best spouse is for my child. And you'll have someone say, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Then stop trying to tell a machine
Right.
that it gets to make all these decisions for you as
Right.
well, right? It is
Yeah.
a tool in this. It is
Hmm.
not the complete answer. It's a tool in it. So whatever answers it's spitting out, the perspectives it's spitting out, you take those in the mix of other influencing tributaries that come into this pool. It is a piece of it. It isn't all of it. So we've got to change that language as well. AI is going to do this, is going to do that. That sounds complete in when you're saying it. It's not supposed to
Right.
be complete. It's a piece of it.
Hmm. Yeah, kind of the three-legged stool that we always like to use
Yeah.
in HR.
Yeah.
It is something that should not throw everything out of balance. So, wait, are you ready for some rapid fire, my friend?
Yeah.
All right. So, what is a book that changed your perspective on business or HR?
I would say Dare to Lead, Brene Brown, and I would
Oh, I love that
say
one.
um, uh, really a lot of things by Malcolm Gladwell have
Mhm.
really done that for me as well. Outliers and the like. I mean, it's for me. I can be an overthinker, um,
Really?
and yeah, even though I don't express it all.
Right.
But I will tell you that I don't express it all. Um, I come from a long line of people who don't believe in having an unspoken thought. Whatever comes to their mind, they say. Um, Believe it or not, this is toned down. Isn't that frightening? You have a picture of what my family could be like. Woo!
Same. But see, it's funny on my side. It's like there's all these things going on, but nobody says anything, and I'm the one that's like shining a flashlight. I'm like, you want to talk about this? You want to talk about this? Which is why I'm not invited to family
I was
functions.
just gonna
So,
say,
and
wait,
I'm
we had a
okay with
family
that.
reunion. I missed that.
Yeah,
Yep, we know.
yeah. Like somebody died. Okay, cool. I didn't want to drive down anyway. Um, I swear. So, do you have a favorite podcast or series that you listen to?
Work Tech, George LaRock. I mean,
Hmm.
that I would
Good
say right
stuff.
now it is probably the strongest one out there. I know we've talked a lot about AI, but
Hmm.
AI product standpoint, ooh, such a smart, well researched time. I would definitely check that out.
Awesome. And then, where can people find and engage with you?
Humoriso.com or search
Okay.
John Baldino HR on LinkedIn and I should pop up. Please feel free to connect with me there.
Yep. And then, give me a mic drop moment. What's a one-liner you want to leave everybody with?
This varies. I'm going to say, I'm going to just say choose your battles.
Mhm.
Be wise. Not everything is a battle, and not nothing is a battle. Choose the battles, get behind them, um, make them few and impactful, but choose your battles and choose them wisely.
I love that. I tell people if I'm charging up a hill, just understand I'm ready to die on
That's
it.
right.
But
It's the truth, though, buddy.
it
That's a
is.
great way to put it.
It is. But I spent a lot of my life fighting every battle. And I just, for the one that I did need the energy for, I'd already exhausted myself. So now, yeah, if I've got sword and spear in hand, you better buckle up, big boy. It's about to be a fight.
And it's hard to be with you if you're so exasperated because of
Hmm.
charging up all the hills. It's
Yeah,
hard to it's hard for you to be someone that others can be around because you're just a shell of a person. There's too much expended energy.
it
So
is.
that's why I say be wise, because I agree with you. Once you're going up that hill, everybody should know
Hmm.
that this means something.
Yep, and know that I have the data behind me too. So, well, John, always enjoy hanging out with you. So,
Thank you,
thank you for
Trent.
joining, and I would strongly encourage everyone to tune in to the show every Thursday at
10 a.m. Eastern.
10 a.m. Eastern on LinkedIn. It is fabulous. It gives you won't need coffee because between Jackie and John, they give you all the energy you need. So make sure that you join and make sure that you connect with him. He is, again, one of my favorite people. So, John, thank you.
Thank you, Trent. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Human Capitalist. This channel is all about community. So comment, subscribe, and join the conversation. This is Trent Cotton, your human capitalist, signing off. Remember, invest in yourself, own your potential, and keep building your own human capital. I'll see you next time.